Howdy and hello. My name is Doe, hope we're doing good, and today we have strong frost builds for every single weapon to level fast with in Dauntless. To get started, we have a beginner build, and I need to cover two things, or mainly just one thing off the bat. And the first thing I'm going to cover is, if you're using frost weapons, Pangar is good for every single weapon, but for the sword, you want to use Boreas, and for the chain blades, you also want to use Boreas. Scrave is not very good at all. Just saying. But anywho, this build is going to be using Assassin's Frenzy and Parasitic in the defensive slot. For strikers, any special, it doesn't really matter, but I mean, it matters, but if you only have access to Adamant Bolt, that's fine. Titan's Crash is the better one, though. And modifier, Cyclonic Strike Plate. And then we got the Koshai Lantern. It's very nice for leveling up in the game, especially if you're new. It gives you some cushion, some lifesteal. It's always great. Hellion Headpiece with Assassin's Frenzy for attack speed. Drast Chest Piece with some +2 power cells, Poggers, Nasher Gloves, and Nasher Feet. So I'm trying to give you the impression of oh, it's like a beginner build, so just put the cells you have, because there'll be cases where you don't have +2 Tenacious, that's fine. You have maybe +1. Just put the cells that you see on this list, try and put whatever version of that you have, whether it's green, blue, or purple, it doesn't really matter. Now, if you want to use this build for other weapons, that is completely fine. The weird thing that you might notice is not every frost weapon has the same slots. That is also fine. Just make do with what you got. So I'm using Parasitic here because it's the same defense slot, but I'll be swapping this cell to more Overpower or Tenacious, whatever you want to go for. And on the hammer, these are the good specials and modifiers to work towards. But use what you got. It's not the end of the world if you don't have the things I'm showing you, but work towards it. That's the main thing. But that's the beginner build. Moving forward, we're going to have something different. So the assumption is you have legendary Urshka weapons for whatever you're trying to make. And if that's the case, then use these cell slots in every single weapon. And it doesn't matter what you choose, it will end up the exact same. It won't matter. But in this case, strikers, because I like them. I think they're very nice, especially for new players. So Catalyst, Overpower, Titan's Crash, Cyclonic Strike Plate, yada yada. The bond is Pangar. And then we got Lantern choice. I should mention, whatever you want to use, it's not that big a deal. Whatever you think benefits you the most, use that. Time Weave Headpiece with Predator as the cell. Hellion Chest Piece with Assassin's Frenzy. Hellion Gloves with Overpower. And Thrax Feet. This build is for if you're fighting a bunch of fire behemoths, if you're doing blaze escalation. It's very nice since it has Molten. Molten helps you not burn alive, and that is actually kind of enjoyable. It also provides you consistent attack speed. It's only going to give you 10% attack speed, but that is consistent. There's nothing about it aside from just picking it up, and then you have that attack speed. Now, if you want to use Iceborne, that is totally cool, but you're going to have to change the build a little bit. And to do that, I would change the headpiece. This is an example. You don't have to do this, but you could do this. I'm not saying it's the best option, but it's an option. So I changed the headpiece. It no longer has Predator. And if I change the feet, then boom, we got full Tenacious. So we ditched Predator, we ditched Cunning, because on the sword, Cunning isn't very good unless you have Discipline or you're doing a very specific escalation and get lucky with amps. So yeah, this is the build you could use for whatever weapon. And for anyone wondering if you're using sword, I suggest Avenging Overdrive and Recursive Hilt with the Boreas Bond. Moving forward to more of a tailored build for different weapons, we're going to have the axe and the hammer. So for the axe, it's going to have a more unique version of the flawless build. But first off, we have the non-flawless version, and this was going to look like Overpower Assassin's Frenzy, Grim Onslaught, Overcharge Cylinder, and then Pangar's Grace, the bond basically. Iceborne Omnicell, Koshai Lantern, Hellion Headpiece, Evasive Fury, Drast Chest Piece, Rage Hunter, Boreas Gloves, Overpower, Boreas Feet, Evasive Fury. So it works the exact same way with the hammer. It's not a big deal. Overpower, where you at? And Assassin's Frenzy, where you at? Landbreaker, Extended Clip, Pangar's Bond, exact same layout. So for the hammer, if I wanted to make this a discipline ready build, I would change that to Discipline, change the Lantern to an Aetheric Attunement, change the feet to Thrax, chest piece to Thrax, gloves to Time Weave, headpiece to Time Weave. This is pretty much a very generic build for in-game right now. And there's a reason for that, and that's because it can be very powerful. So Time Weave with Evasive Fury, Thrax with Berserker, Time Weave with Assassin's Frenzy, and then Thrax with Predator. For Flawless Axe, it can be the same build, but I would change Berserker to being more Evasive Fury. That would be my suggestion. Berserker is not very strong on the axe, not very beneficial because it's hard to maintain. But if you want to have even more damage, then I would change Adrenaline here and then change this as well to Adrenaline. And then boom. Adrenaline is more damage for however much stamina you miss. And on the axe, you'll be missing a lot of stamina. So it's a pretty good chunk of damage. It's like 33% if you have 110 stamina moving forward. Non-Flawless Frost Warpike has Evasive Fury, Savagery, Special. Concussive Payload is my suggestion. Executioner Spearhead or Munitions Amplifier are my two suggested specials in general for the Warpike. Pangar Bond as per usual. And we're also going to be using Jurassic Headpiece with Overpower. Cool Shot Chest Piece, interesting, with Evasive Fury. Boreas Gloves, Overpower, and Boreas Feet, Assassin's Frenzy. And the Flawless Warpike build. We got Assassin's Frenzy, Savagery, Savage Wellspring, and Munitions Amplifier with Pangar Bond. Time Weave Headpiece, Predator. Cool Shot with Evasive Fury. Progataro with Overpower. And Thrax with Cunning. Very strong, very wild. And you could change it a bit more and have Adrenaline like in the previous builds. It just depends. Now moving forward, we're going to have Repeaters and Chainblades. So for Repeaters, Cunning, Fleet-Footed, Barrels of Frost, Variant, Chamber, Salvo, or Full Bore. It's your choice, really. Marksman, it's good, it's really good, but it's very annoying to make use of in like things like Escalation and whatnot. Captain's Grip, for sure. Tac Magazine, for sure. Prism, Searing, Frostbite, or Eclipse. Time Weave, Berserker. Time Weave, Overpower. Malkarian, Assassin's Frenzy. Boreas, Cunning. And that is the... I'm not gonna give you all an Iceborne version of Repeaters because, like, come on now. Come on now. You want to have that damage. You don't want to gimp the weapon damage-wise any more than you have to. Now for Chainblades, nothing else changed but our weapon. If you want to change the cell slots in here, you can. That's fine. I got Cunning, Assassin's Frenzy, Reaper's Dance as a special, Mom Blades as the modifier, and Boreas as the bond. You're just going to be spamming your special in this build. Have fun. And to clarify, these builds are not suggested for heroic escalation. That's because Assassin's Frenzy and things like Overpower aren't actually that great in heroic escalation. Getting part breaks is actually rather difficult, and you won't really be stagger locking most behemoths. If they're like heavy interrupt fights, and sure, but not all behemoths will be stagger locked, so Overpower is not as useful since that cell works off of part breaks, staggers, interrupts, things like that, and that isn't going to happen all too often in heroic escalation. So these builds are for hunting grounds, regular escalations, things like that. So that pretty much wraps it up. That's all I got left for the lesson today, folks. If you liked it, be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you want, use credit code OhDough in the game store or the in-game Dauntless store. It helps me out a freaking ton. I have a Twitch channel at twitch.tv/OhDough, a separate TikTok and YouTube at OhDoughless for Apex content. And other than that, y'all have a beautiful day. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.